Welcome everybody, Mark here from the Average Me channel, and it is the day after. The day after what? The day after Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. By the time I got back to my hotel room and got to bed, it was about 2:30 a.m. I woke up about 8:30 this morning, so I'm still kind of bleary-eyed. I did run downstairs to the hotel breakfast, and now I'm making this. So I apologize if it seems a little crude and if you're hearing my air conditioner in the background, but I did want to get out a real quick review for you before I get to the finished edited video, because that's going to take me some time. Now I'm going to intersperse some footage. I don't know exactly what I'm going to put behind this narrative, but I'll show you some things as they progress through the video, and you'll probably see those duplicated in the completed video as well. So my overall view, is it worth it going to this event? Yes and no. It really depends on what it is that you're looking for. If you're looking for a character greet, I think that's going to be a really tough one. Jack Skellington and Sally had a line 2 hours long. Now, I got into the park about 6:30. Now, I was pretty surprised because, quite frankly, it wasn't as crowded as I thought it would be, especially for a Friday. But even with the crowds reduced, the special items that you don't see a lot, or special activities, like the meet and greets of characters that aren't out other than this event, were really, really long. So as a result, I only saw one meet and greet. The only meet and greet that I went to was with 2 of the gravediggers. Now I know gravediggers are not considered to be, you know, Disney characters, are not from films or anything, but it was something you can only see during the Halloween party. So that's what I waited in line for. Some of the other ones were literally hours long. Now, if you're only there from 7 until midnight, you want to spend 2 hours waiting to see a character. Now, I suspect some of them were a little shorter. Character meet and greets are really just not my thing, but if they are for you, be aware of it. Now, there were specialty food items. I did buy a couple of those, you'll see in the main video. And they're, you know, kind of interesting to get something different. As far as value, I always feel that for park food, Disney has a pretty good value, but some of the sweet treats I think are overpriced. Now, I understand why they are. It takes a lot of work to make these things. When you see, for example, I had the Madame Leota cookie treat. When you see this thing, it is really a lot of pieces. There's a lot that goes into assembling it. But as far as a treat itself, it's more about the experience than the thing that you're going to eat. So be aware of that. So very quickly, what were some things I did? Well, you'll see all this in the video. I did, as far as rides, I did the tea party, which I rarely do because I'm not a spinning person. But they had special lights and things for Halloween, I suppose music for Halloween. So I did that. I did the Pirates. The Pirates was really fun. If you're going to go to the Pirates. I went right at 7 o'clock. There was a long line. It backed up all the way to the Tiki Room. But it went quick. Once you got in, it wasn't too bad. I was still probably standing in line. I probably killed the first half hour of being there just getting the Pirates. But Pirates had several live actors in the queue in the ride, so that was worth seeing. They kind of had a theme. And the other ride I went on, I went on Winnie the Pooh's Adventures simply because it was a 5-minute wait and I was passing by, and I hopped on it. And I went, of course, to Haunted Mansion. There was nothing different at Haunted Mansion at all. Now, I'm going to also say this. I stopped for a lot of photographer stops, especially the ones that had short lines. A lot of them didn't populate to my photo pass. And some of them I was really excited to see, because you know how they will sometimes have you, or maybe you don't know, but sometimes the photographers will have you pose in different ways, and then when you get the picture, things are put in there. For example, one time they had me posing like this, like I was holding something, it never came through on my photo pass, so I have no idea what it was going to put in there. And as a matter of fact, none of those extra things ever showed up. I also posed in front of the hearse at the Haunted Mansion that never showed up on my photo pass, and they have you look and act frightened, so I assume a ghost is going to be sitting next to you or standing next to you. In the past, I've done that, and I have been, posing with a hitchhiking ghost, but for some reason, a lot of those did not populate to my photo pass. Now, I generally get my photo pass pictures very quickly, and I generally get them very accurately. I am an annual pass holder, and so it usually it connects very efficiently, and I hope they're not lost. I hope they do show up eventually, but that was something. So my analysis is the parade is really worth seeing if you're a parade person. The fireworks, they're neat, but don't expect, a really grand, a thing is thought out as the Wishes program, because I didn't time it, but it sure seemed like a smaller fireworks show, shorter in length, and it didn't seem like the graphics, the projections on the castle were quite as thought out and quite as extensive as the Wishes. Nevertheless, it was fun to see that. The castle show with the Sanderson sisters, for a special event, a paid event, a hard ticket event, it was just song and dance. You got to see a lot of characters up there. If you're going to miss one of those big three things, the pirate show, the castle fireworks, or that Sanderson show, I forget what that show is called, but I'll put it down here when I look it up. I would probably miss that one. You have 3 opportunities to see it. I waited until the very last show right before the event ends. They have a midnight showing. That was a good time to see it. Some people are already gone, and you can just get around the circle there at the end of Main Street and watch the parade, watch the castle show. And it was a fine show, but if you had other things you wanted to do, that's the one I would probably put on the back burner. As far as the specialty treats are all over the park. As far as candy, a lot of candy. I'll show you all my candy here. Not a big candy person. If it's here, I'll eat it. But how much candy do you need? However, it's kind of a psychological thing, I think, because you pay $85 and you want to get as much as you can. So every time you come up to one of these candy stops, you want to go and fill your bag with candy. Now, having said that, even the candy stops had some waits. I timed one of them, I think it was 5 or 6 minutes to get through the queue and get your handful of candy. So if you stop at 5 or 6 of those, you're in for another half hour. So think about the time. Are there any things I didn't like about this event? Yes. I would say that the character meet and greets, they have to figure that out. I said that in my preview video. They should not let people line up before the 7 o'clock hour. I think that is an absolute must. By the time people are lining up for Jack Skellington and Sally, for example, the event didn't even start. And that line was so long, it was unbelievable. I know characters should spend time with you because you're paying money, but Jack and Sally spend so much time walking up, walking you back, posing. It's a great experience, but it's a trade-off because you're standing in line for 2 hours to get that great experience. I would much rather they limit the interaction to maybe 15 to 30 seconds per guest and they get more guests through. Just my opinion, but I would rather see that. I may have seen and posed for pictures with more characters. I might have done more meet and greets if I knew I could have gotten through in a shorter time period. As far as the food items are more about novelty than really a quality food item. I had that Munster Smash Burger, I think that's what it was called, at Cosmic Rays. Really nothing special. It was just a cheeseburger and it was piled up fancy and had, it was on a black bun with Munster cheese and tater tots and some bacon. In my mind, it was a bacon cheeseburger. So, but it was really filling. It was big. They always give you a lot of food there. So for, I think it was $13.99, for your $14, I would cut that in half and share it with someone I was with. As a matter of fact, I would almost cut it in thirds and share it with people. It's just, and that's me. And I'm not a little guy, and still, that was more than enough food for me. So as far as the food, I believe it's more about the experience. I would buy, one or two of those, share it with the people you're with, and I think you'll get a much better value. Would I pay $85 for this? Well, I've done it twice in a row now. If it's a once a year activity, for the cost of maybe going out to dinner for a night or two back home, you can have this wonderful experience. I would say yeah. But watch the crowds. Once again, I was there on a Friday, but it's early, so the crowds weren't really big. You could get into the rides relatively quickly, but those other specialty things, it was kind of tough. Watching the shows on Main Street were not too bad. So overall, there are some improvements they could make. Let fewer people in, particularly as you get closer to the Halloween. Last year, I went really close to Halloween, and it was almost unpleasant because the crowds were so big. One other thing, costumes. Keep your costumes simple. I had a very simple Nick Wilde costume. It was just a shirt and a necktie. Bought off the internet. That shirt was, 100% polyester. There's not a tag on it, but it was just, even that was not that comfortable, and it wasn't a real good fit. So when I looked around and I was hot. It wasn't real hot, but it was very humid, so I was sweating throughout the night. And when I looked at people with hats and wigs and makeup, it's fun to watch, but let's face it, when you go in a costume, your costume is really for other people to see, right? And it's great to get those compliments, but 5 hours of being really uncomfortable, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? I think I made a really good choice just having that shirt and a necktie. A few people commented, especially cast members. They knew who I was. So it was fun. It was enough to have a little fun. When I saw some of those people that were really decked out, when we were on the monorail coming back to the parking lot, and there was a guy in there who looked like the Mad Hatter, and he had the wig and the big hat. I saw some people dressed like Goofy with big hats, and I thought, that's got to be so incredibly uncomfortable. So think about that. All right, I'm going to cut it off here. I knew you wanted to get a quick analysis, a quick review. So I'm going to spend the next few days running to the park. I'll edit this as soon as I can, but I wanted to get a really quick synopsis and a review out for you. As always, thanks for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this little review, and I really hope you enjoy the full video when it comes out. As always, I encourage you to comment down below. Please like and share the videos. That does a lot for this channel. This is still a really small channel, and I'm trying to build it and help other people find it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm Mark with the Average Me channel.